Welcome to the Executive Hustle podcast, where I am your host, Kirsten YURICH, speaker, author, retired CEO, mother of four, and recovering workaholic. Explore with Central Pennsylvania local executives what it takes to lead well, live well, and learn well. Understanding that leaders cannot survive, let alone thrive, without a spirit of curiosity, a discipline of accountability, and a disposition for vulnerability. Let's dive in. Welcome, Scott Walters, to the Executive Hustle. You are the visionary and integrator at Walters Services, and I am so thrilled to have you as my guest today. The last time we spoke, time flew by. We were just commenting on that before recording. And we got into so many amazing topics, both personal and professional. And so I know that listeners are really going to be touched by all of the topics and stories that we're going to get into today. I was blown away by your story, your experiences, and your dedication to just overall doing good and being good. And so I know this is going to be an amazing conversation. So it is a delight, not only for me, but anybody listening, to have you here today. Welcome, Scott.
Thank you, Kirsten. We did have a great time talking. I loved it. And, we did get into all kinds of topics, but I must say, for anyone listening, I went away from there. You asked great questions and made me think about some really awesome things. And I really took a lot out of our conversation. And so I'm looking forward to talking today. I'm sure I'll learn a bunch. So I'm looking forward to that too. And,
Okay.
if anyone can learn from anything that I've gone through, that's awesome. So hope that happens too.
Well, that's our mindset. So thank you so much. You know, you are the second generation, right, in your sanitation services. And you watched your parents, Fabe and Bev, start this business literally in the backyard. Did you know growing up that you would always be in the business? Was that something in the back of your mind?
Yeah, no, I didn't want any parts of the business actually. My parents are honestly the most incredible people in the world. I love them. I would do anything for them. And they are just, anybody that knows them loves them. So it was very easy for me to be their son. They were incredible at loving us and setting a great example for us. And in business, they set a great example. And so it was really fun to watch them start their business and grow their business. And I, of course, rode along in trucks and did all the work. And, we worked hard, and my parents worked hard. And I did not want to be any part of the business. I went to college to be a lawyer. And so I never intended to be here as part of the business. And my parents even comment still, hey, we never thought you were going to be here. And so it's been an interesting journey.
That's so incredible. How did you then get to be here? You've been in here 27 years, is that
Oh
right?
yeah, towards 30 years.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you did make the decision a while ago.
I obviously did, or else something's just plain wrong with me, one or the other. So we'll talk about that. But yeah, no, I went I I went to college with the intent of going to law school, studied pre-law. I was preparing to go to law school. I got sick in college. And
Hmm.
so I had a tumor in my neck. I missed a semester of my junior year going into my senior year. And so that kind of set me back with everything. I didn't get all my testing done, my LSATs and everything to get into law school. And so I had this year free between undergraduate and graduate school. I went to Tibet and taught English as a
Hmm.
second language up in Lhasa, Tibet. A great experience. I had recently become a Christian not long before that, and so God was changing my life, Kirsten. And I came back, wanted to go to law school, got into law school, got there for a little bit, and I was like, man, I love this. I really do, but I just feel this burning desire inside of me to do something else. And so I actually quit law school and went to seminary. I came up here back
Hmm.
home and went to seminary. And I was in seminary finishing up. I got married and preparing to go be a missionary. And my dad got a hold of me with, I think I had one or two classes left in seminary. And he said, can you come and help me run this little portable toilet business we just started? It's growing very quickly. And I said, sure. And the intent was for a year or two for
Hmm.
me to come
Hmm.
on.
Hmm.
And my wife then at the time, after we got married and were married for a little bit, she said, "I don't want to be a missionary." And so I
Oh,
so we weren't going to do that, right? And so and I loved this business aspect, and it's just really fit me well. I love to be around everyone here at the business. I love being around the vendors and making contacts with people, and it just fits me super super well. And so I ended up at a place that is perfect for me, and I love coming to work every day.
wow. Talk about a crooked line to get you
Yes,
to the right place.
yes, amazing, right?
Well, they say God writes and draws a straight paths with crooked lines, right? That's
Yep,
amazing.
yep.
So you mentioned, loving the people and loving the vendors and the employees and things like that. Your not the
Our
value
core
you have, but
focus, our
your
core
focus.
focus.
Yeah, your core focus is we love people. Did
Yeah.
that start with you?
No, so it was really great. We decided we were going to go into EOS about 7, 8 years ago. And so, as part of that process, you go through different days where you're solidifying and kind of
Mm-hmm.
galvanizing your core values and all the things that are important about your business. You work on your goals and all those, the rocks.
Yeah.
But as part of that, we started thinking about, okay, so what's the core focus? The bedrock, the
Mm.
foundation of this business. What is that? And we talked about all kinds of things. The executive team was in the room. We were a new executive team. We were just learning each other and learning how to run this business. Before that, it was just me.
Yeah.
And so, we were all getting used to each other, but we talked about all the things that we thought were important about Walters. And we just kept coming back to the fact that this business has always been about people. This business has always been about the impact we can have on people in the business and outside the business, right? We don't do anything sexy. We provide portable toilets, we pump septic tanks, we do dumpsters. It's down and dirty, and it is I always tell anybody, anything dirty or smelly, we're probably in. And so, it is it is very earthy, it's very foundational, it's very you have to do this to love people, right? You're not
Mm-hmm.
doing it to gain notoriety or to people think great things about you. Instead, it's really just this meets basic needs of people. And so that went along very well with that. But I think just again, we went back to who are my parents and what kind of people are they and how did they live their lives in the business and outside the business. And it came down to it's always been about people. And so it was a pretty easy one. It's kind of weird. I always tell everybody we're not a nonprofit. We're a
Mm-hmm.
for-profit business, but we do it. I love the tension in that. Loving people, running a profitable business.
Right.
Man, is that a hard calling, a hard challenge every day,
Mm-hmm.
but it's a beautiful, wonderful challenge that I love to embrace.
Wow. That is a beautiful story about we love people, but we're down and dirty, and it's
Oh
not
yeah,
sexy. Like that.
it's not
That
at
is
all right.
such
No,
a juxtaposition,
yeah,
and you tell it in such a passion. Like if people were watching you, like your passion is just coming through as you tell that story, and it's got to take a lot of courage to continue to push that rock up the hill. So we love people, but we are doing something, you know, not glamorous, not sexy, and we need to do it in a profitable way to love those people, to continue to do business in today's market.
I have to be honest with you. It's not hard to push that rock up the hill because so many people can easily buy into this with us,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
It's not hard when people realize that this isn't just a joke. We're going to do it super imperfectly, right? We're going to mess up in lots of
Mm,
ways as we do this. But the trajectory we are on, the way that we are headed is to
mm-hmm.
love people well. Uh, isn't that a place where you want to be? Anybody wants to be at a place like that. We're at work a lot of hours in a day. And so to be at a place where you know you're loved and cared for and valued, and it's okay for you to do that too with customers and your teammates and the people around you, imperfectly,
Mm-hmm.
is great. That's the way we want to do it. And so that's not a hard place to get people to come and join you in that. And it's actually a really fun and enjoyable and rewarding experience to do that every day. And yeah, no, it's not a hard job and it's not a hard thing to get people to buy into because I think everybody wants that.
That was one of my questions I had for you was in today's market, the war for talent. This is real, right? Finding people. What I hear you saying is you're not you're not facing the same challenges as other
No,
people are facing.
no, when we post jobs, typically we have a lot of people that want to work here.
Wow.
We'll occasionally bump up against something where, finances are real.
Mm-hmm.
Finances are
Mm-hmm.
real. And so are we paying appropriate wages for the market that we're in?
Yeah.
And we're in a lot of different markets. And so to figure all those areas out and what's really a good pay rate for those areas and what are good benefits and all the things that are really important to people and part of loving people well, those are real. So I just say that because I'm thinking about it, because just the other day I was talking with someone. We're looking for to fill a driving position in one area, and the discussion is, we're not getting the normal
Mm-hmm.
response that we do, and so is that a pay issue, or is there something else? Because people come to interviews, and often they'll say the reason I'm here is because of your core values, because of your core focus. Those things are 100% me. I want to be part of something like that.
Wow. And that's really, so you've got to pull out into the community. People want to work there.
Yeah,
That's a message to be putting out there.
yeah.
That's awesome. So what I often talk about leadership being an act of courage, and you've talked about how you're leading differently in a very challenging industry, even though it's not challenging for you particularly. Can you share a time when you had to show courage in your leadership? And if it cost you something, what did it cost you?
That's a great question. I have to think about that. Um, I mean, there are always situations where you have to make decisions based on your values.
Mm.
And are you going to follow those, or are you going to take the easier path?
Mm.
That's that's every day. I mean, I just when you said that, I think of a situation in which um, we were doing a lot of work for a vendor. They got behind and owed us a bunch of money. Back and forth negotiations. They ended up um, settling and were paying us more than what they owed us. And it was pretty easy to justify because they were way behind. They actually, they had stuck us a lot. And what we negotiated out, you never get everything right, but they were paying more. And the person who was in charge of our finance department at the time came to me and told me that. And he was like, Scott, I think really this is still fair because they really given us a hard time, and it's really been difficult. And all that we've done probably doesn't make up for. And we had a great discussion about our core values. Okay, so we are honest in word and deed, and we are going to always treat people honestly. And this is not being honest. And both of us walked out of that room knowing that that's the way we had to go, and that we wanted to go that way. And I have to say, I felt really good about that, even though we lost money in the
Yeah,
deal,
yeah,
and it was a decent amount of money. Um, it was that we were being true to ourselves of who we are and the organization. And that set a pattern of leadership that said to everyone, this is what we're going to do. And here's how we're going to do it because we've done it,
right,
and that's
right.
what I love about our core values. We talk about our core values here, and we give stories about how these things are lived out every day in our history and in our recent history, so that people know these aren't just things that sound nice.
Yeah. And the core values, they started when you started EOS? Is that the
That's
same
when we
time?
solidified them. Sure, that's when
Yeah.
we really
Mm-hmm.
galvanized them. But they were. We went back and said, "What's true of this
True.
organization?
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
where we
What's
want to be.
already there? Mm-hmm.
Yes, what is true of this organization?" And I've written a book. I'm just ready to publish a book really soon about my parents and their journey and our
Oh,
family in business. And a part of that book, almost a half of that book, is about our core values. And it is because I wanted everyone to just see that that's who we've always been, and the stories that show that this is who this organization is, and
mm-hmm.
how you can do that as any other organization. Go back, and everybody has those stories, everybody has that experience, and it's pretty easy when you just sit down and think about these things to say, okay, this is who we are, not
Right.
who we want to be, or not just what sounds nice.
Yeah. Yeah. Because people aren't going to come and work for you for who you want to be. Because as soon as they get there, they're going to see that it's all talk, right? And you're going to have a turnover problem real
Yeah,
quick. Yeah.
yeah.
Do you,
And
I'm
even
curious.
and
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, and even though we are those things, I always come back to we do them imperfectly, right? Because our
Imperfectly.
core values are great, right?
Mm,
And I mean, they are very high standards. And I really always want everyone to know that we don't do this perfectly. And that's not the standard that you have to live up to,
mm,
but we have to be going this way. And one of our core values is being wholesome. And it even says
mm,
part of our definition of that is we're flawed people. And so it's okay to be flawed, right? This isn't the standard is not perfection. The standard is not that you show up every day and you just crush it every day and you don't ever make mistakes. If that was the case, we'd have to stop this recording right now and I'd have to walk out and go find another job somewhere else. Just point blank true.
yeah. Well, that really matches. So I talk a lot about humility, right, for leaders. And it sounds like your focus on imperfection and that we're flawed, right? That they're synonyms, right? So how does that show up for you as an individual leader? You're individually working with your team, something has gone wrong, or you've done something that is imperfect. How does that manifest itself in those conversations? How are you modeling that for your team? How would somebody see that and say, okay, Scott's living it out?
I apologize often.
Mm,
I mean, I have had to call people at night when I'm working out, and all of a sudden that thought comes to my mind. Look what you did today.
mm,
I'll pick up the phone, call them, and say, "Look, I didn't handle that well today. I'm
mm-hmm,
really sorry. I messed up, and that's not my intention, and I know I didn't do it right. And so, will you please forgive me?" And I do the same with other folks. Somebody asks me for forgiveness, I'm going to forgive quickly and easily. And also, when we preach around here, we want you to make mistakes. So I want everyone to make mistakes today. That's how we get better, right? I mean, if we're just living in this place where it has to go perfectly and I can't mess up, then we're never going to get better. We're never going to grow. People aren't going to grow. And it's going to be an awful place to be, man. I would be an anxious mess if I had to live
mm,
up to that standard every day. And so, one of our core values is pursuing greatness with humility. And so, it really is about understanding that we want to go out and really change this world and do great things in this world. But we have to do it from a place that isn't about us. We have to do
mm-hmm.
from it from a place of just, okay, so this is about you, not about me, and how can I help you, and what can we do together to make this a better place? So we talk about those things all the time, but often, I mean, it's very seldom that I don't tell everybody, please go make a bunch of mistakes today. I mean, I say that all the time. And you know what? So then you work through them, right? And that's how we learn too. And that's how you don't keep making the same mistakes because it hurts when we all make mistakes. None of us like to do that,
Right,
and
right.
and we remember them, and then we do better the next time. And sometimes we don't. Sometimes if you're like me, you have to make a bunch of mistakes to learn, but then you do eventually.
I think my laundry list of mistakes is awfully long. I don't know if you want to look at that one.
I do love to look at them, yours and mine and all of ours, because isn't that great? It's just,
Yeah.
but it's okay, Kirsten. It's actually really good because it means to me that, which we know you're going out and doing great things. We know that that's a given. But also the same is for everybody else.
Mm.
Is that mistake that you made? That's because you're out doing something, not because you're just,
You're in the
just taking.
ring. Yeah, you're getting dirty, you're getting cut up, you're in the ring, right? That was
Yeah.
FDR said that. So eh, have you always had that mindset? I mean, I'm listening to you and it's resonating with me, and then I'm also having this secondary experience and I'm thinking about myself at home with my kids. I'm like, oh, am I that
Yeah.
not forgiving, but am I that open around, hey, we're all going to make mistakes today. Hey, we're all like progress, not perfection. Have you always had that mindset? Did you find it in Tibet? Like where
Yeah.
where did you get
That sounds
this?
like that'd be a good place, doesn't
I
it?
know. I think there's a movie like
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, that would be dramatic. Uh, you know.
that.
Uh,
I just
no,
want to know where I
sorry,
can
but
go get it. That's kind of what I'm asking for.
yeah,
For
I don't
asking
have
for a
anything
friend.
that. Yeah, sorry, I don't have anything that awesome for you. But go visit Tibet. It's an awesome place to visit, that's for sure. Um, it's funny because I my parents have preached that message all my life. I
Mm,
remember that one of my first memories in life, I was probably I don't know, 3, 4 years old, very, very young. I remember my mom telling me, Scott, she's called me Scotty when I was little. Scotty, you can be anything you want to be. And for me, I don't know why that stuck with me. Why did that
Hmm.
stick with me as a little kid? But I
Yeah.
remember my mom telling me that. And, that sets you up for, hey, go after it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Go do it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's okay. Of course, mistakes are involved in that. But I would have to say, as a teenager, I wasn't this way. As I look back, I was a fairly good athlete, but I would shy away from situations in which I wasn't sure I was going to do well at,
Yeah.
because I didn't have that growth mindset that I have now of, hey, if I mess up, does that mean that I'm no good? If
Right.
I don't pass that test, does that mean I'm stupid? You
Yeah.
know, I
Yeah.
had that mindset in me. And then I would say I got into college, and um, I honestly really believe and know that when I became a Christian, that changed for me.
Mm.
So, because the Christian life is, you're going to mess up,
Yeah.
you're going to
Right.
make lots of mistakes, and
Expect
it's
it.
not going to go well. And God's okay with that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And you know what? He's not here to whack you. He loves us, and that's why he died for us. And so then you go forward, right?
Right.
And
Right.
he's okay as we bumble our way through life, and he's here to help us. And the ultimate goal is that we continue to get more like him as we live our lives. And so that changed my perspective on all of this. And I really just became this person that really just wanted to go out and be really something great and help this world out.
Hmm.
And that's where it all changed for me, quite honestly. So I was already like this when I went to Tibet.
Okay. Darn.
Sorry, but you can still go there, and who
Okay.
knows?
All
Maybe
right.
that would be the
Good.
place.
Yeah. Good. Good. Well, earlier you said you had one of your sort of, this is when I think of these things, when you're working out. I know you're in excellent condition, and exercise and fitness is something that's very important to you. How has that shaped you as a leader, or how does that fit into your persona as a leader?
I think that's important. It's all part of who we are as a whole. It's
Yeah.
all of who we are, the goods and the bads, and the things
Mm-hmm.
that we don't want people to know, and the things that we love, right? But for me, exercise has been very important all my life. Really, I love exercise. It makes me feel good. It sets me up for a good day. Like this morning, I
Yeah.
was up hitting it hard before I got out here, and I'll do it again when I go home. I for some reason I got into this routine where I also like to do a little bit when I go home. I hit the weights usually when I go home. Mornings cardio, nights are weights, and it just blows the day out for me and sets me up. And
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of like that trigger that then I'm home, and
I
now I'm
see.
home, and then I can be present at home much easier. So it's my
Okay.
transition time, kind of, I guess, in some ways. But it has really helped me um, in leadership, because I think it also sets a tone of, hey, I'm out trying to be the best version of myself that I can be. And
Yeah.
that doesn't mean I'm not looking to be a bodybuilder or being, the run marathons, or I'm not looking for any of that. I just want to be a healthy individual
Right.
who can have the energy to go through my day well, and give people what I want to give the folks that I come across in a day, and not be tired, and not be, not the best version of myself. So that's
Yeah.
really what drives me to do that, even the day, because I love to work out. I really do. It's something that I enjoy. It's a hobby for me.
Yeah.
But it is also something that helps me become the best version of myself. And so the days when I don't want to work out, that's what drives me to say, go do it anyway.
Right. Right. Yeah. It's sets the condition for yourself, right? Like you're putting yourself in the best condition to be the leader you want to be, raising your condition. I love that, because as you are is how it will become, right? And so if
Yeah.
you show up cranky and sore or miserable, that's how you'll lead. And I've seen that so many times. So that's great. I wanted to touch on that because I know that's part of your way of being, and that's got to be a key component in your success and how you've become at
Yeah, I
at
believe so.
Walters. Yeah.
I believe so. And also it helps everybody else know, hey, I'm just a normal person. It's obvious if you're around me very long. I'm
Mm-hmm.
nothing, I'm not this, just crazy, incredible, intellect or anything like that. I'm a normal person. And so
Right.
anybody that rubs shoulders with me knows that, okay, if I can make time in my day to do that, then so can you.
So
I mean,
can
I
you?
raised I raised two incredible daughters
Hmm.
who have done incredible things, but we were busy. We lived life, you know? I mean, it wasn't like I was a dad to them, very present, very much running to soccer practices and lacrosse practices and doing tournaments and all the
Hmm.
other, orchestra and, all the things that you know well.
Yep.
I did them all. And, and sometimes you have to not exercise in those times. I
Yeah.
didn't exercise as hard then
Yeah.
as I
Yeah.
do now because I just couldn't. And what was my priority at that time?
Right.
It
Right.
was
And
not
I,
my home.
I think knowing your season for that, there's a lot of narratives and guilt out there around what I should be doing and what does either taking care of myself or taking care of my family look like, or showing up, being a lead, all of these narratives out there. And I love what you're saying about, like, there are trade-offs about what season you're in and what's most important. When your kids are young, your kids are young. And where are your kids now? They're not at home, right? And so you
No, my
can
kids are
work
everywhere.
out.
And well, one's in Turkey and one's
Look
off the
at that.
coast of Korea, and then
Yeah.
the son-in-law's getting ready. He's ready. He's in the Mediterranean right now. So, but I
Right.
guess I would say as encouragement to everyone out there would be, I did learn this lesson. You are saying great truth and wisdom in what you're saying. Balance. What's your priority at that moment? And just as me as an example, my girls call me basically every day, and they're
Oh.
23 and 25.
Oh.
And it's not because we're codependent.
Mm.
We just like to talk to each other and have a relationship. And it was
Mm-hmm.
formed in those years that we're talking about now, where
Right.
we went to soccer tournaments and ate together for 2 hours afterwards and sat there and talked about what was going on in their lives and what was
Right.
going on in my life and what was life like and all that we were experiencing together. And so now it's very natural. The one just called me this morning, worried about a situation back here in the States with jury duty, and was she responsible from Turkey to get here for jury?
Oh.
So we're
You're
just
still
talking about,
dad.
right.
Yeah.
We're just, and
Right.
we're becoming friends as they're getting older, but it's just the relationship that was formed in these times. And I think we all want that with our kids. And and I did parent my kids. I wasn't the parent that let them have the cell phone early. I was not, this just super easy dad that gave them everything they wanted and just wanted to be their friend. I understood my position as a father and helping form them into the young women who
Mm-hmm.
would do great things in their life. And so I took that responsibility seriously, but also you can do that out of love. You don't
Yeah.
have to do that out of just rigidity or something like that. You can do it in a loving, kind,
Mm-hmm.
giving way that all of us parents have in us. And when we see those little kids, we just love them to death, right? And that
Mm.
can be true, but helping them also through the challenges of life as a parent is, I think, super important. And so, yeah, we know that's a challenge, right? We're
Oh,
never going to do that perfectly. And as we look back, we always go, what was I thinking?
right. There's another opportunity for imperfection, right?
Yeah, guaranteed.
Yes, we can fill an entire episode of those mistakes for sure. I just kept having kids, see if I could do it better the next time, better the next time.
So I keep with it. I couldn't do anymore.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, we'll do version 3.0, version 4.0.
Just think, I mean, what? Ruler of the world then.
Yeah, we'll see, we'll see. I just, that whole population thing. I'm just doing my part, doing my part.
Great job. Thank you.
Thanks. I got one aspect of it down pat. So, as we've come out of the pandemic and those kinds of challenges, I'm curious how that impacted your business in terms of things moving outside. Construction industry, I'm sure, is a big driver for several aspects of your business, things like that. What are some of the change drivers for you, and how have they either accelerated or just shifted over the last couple of years, and how have you adjusted to those?
Yeah. Yeah, no, that the pandemic was really impactful for our industry, especially
Mm-hmm.
the portable toilet part of our business. The
Yeah.
septic business, the dumpsters, those things kind of remained constant.
Mm-hmm.
Thankfully, we were, an essential business. So for us,
Yes.
we kept working. When
Yeah.
the whole world shut down, we were working,
Right.
and actually working harder and longer than we
Mm.
would normally work. But the industry itself, this portable toilet industry, which is, you know, 60% of what we do here, that um, changed dramatically. So,
Mm.
you know, as people needed to use hand sanitizer, as people needed to have bathrooms that were clean and sanitized, and as people started using restroom trailers and so many of the things that we do in this industry, there became a much more need for those services,
Yeah.
and there's a little more value placed on those things now. Be it from all ranges of the business, from,
Hmm.
you know, construction, industrial, to special events and everything. So it's created opportunity, but it's also created more responsibility, of course, as well.
Okay. What would you say is the most surprising outcome over the last couple of years? Like a new partner, a new niche. One of the newest things I learned from your website were these luxury
Yeah.
trailers. That's something I never knew existed.
Yeah, no, I mean there's a lot of opportunity there in that market. The luxury restroom trailers, that has grown tremendously through
Okay.
this,
Hmm.
and there's a lot more need for those. Yeah, we're doing some really cool events that I never even dreamed we would do with those kind of services. It's really a lot of fun, and the team here just loves it because they have some really great goals that they would like to see them at these certain places, and they're starting to happen, and I mean they're iconic places, and so it's really fun. That's a big difference for us. And then we've grown the business too over a geographic area, and so,
Hmm.
you know, we're outside the state now, and we're into Northern Virginia, DC, Maryland. We're, you know, across a lot of Pennsylvania, and so we've gotten a lot of new partners, and that's kind of fun to
Mm.
meet new people and to create new relationships. And how can we help in these different environments as well, and lead people in those different environments. For a leader, that's been a challenge because I'm from central Pennsylvania. Sure, I got outside of central Pennsylvania for my education and my life, but I'm born and raised here, and that's the bulk of
Yeah.
my life. And so I understand that mindset. And
Hmm.
then to lead people that grew up in Philadelphia or DC or, you know, all kinds of different environments, and to be able to relate to them. Of course, there's this basic human relation that we can have with each other, but
Yeah.
that difference in the way we were raised is fun to try to navigate in leadership. And I've really enjoyed that challenge of, you know, just how do we lead different teams in different geographic areas and different upbringings well.
So that's been a new challenge with those new geographic expansions, the way
Oh
teams
yeah,
look.
yeah.
Okay.
That was
Wow.
one of the reasons why we took those on, because we wanted
Hmm.
another challenge, right? We wanted a new challenge. But
You were
the
bored.
opportunity, yeah, no, I can easily jump to the next challenge. You know, we got that one. Okay, we got that one done. Let's go do something else.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I'm curious, with the industry that you're in, environmental regulations and sustainability is certainly something that is a challenge or a factor for several types of industries. I'm curious how that impacts your industry, what you have to consider, deal with, handle.
Mhm. Oh yeah, I mean, of course, we're regulated, and we need to be um, very mindful of the way we treat the environment in this
Mm-hmm.
industry. And so that's a constant um, communication with governmental agencies. It's a constant update on what are the regulations and making sure that we're complying, of course, but also just how can we continue to push that ball forward? How can we continue to get better? How can we, you know, be a leader in this industry to see things happen better? So, you know, you're always looking at new opportunities, because with challenges, there are always new opportunities, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so we're looking for those opportunities. Um, you know, it's interesting for a smaller family business. We are a family business, competing against really, some of our competitors are really huge
Yeah.
companies. You know, we compete against the waste managements, or, you know, all those kinds of businesses that everyone knows and that are national and international. And so their pockets are a lot deeper. So how do we compete? How do we push the
Mm-hmm.
ball forward? And how do we find those niches that are appropriate to us in this environment that you're talking about?
Right.
Using those regulations, using those relationships to find areas where we can do things that maybe they can't well.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, just I mean, I don't even know that we need to get into specifics here. It's just like all across everything we do. it
Right.
is, we're dealing with human waste. A lot of what we do are garbage and things like that. So, of course, the way we treat those products is super important because it could be very harmful
Yeah.
if we were not good stewards of that.
Mm-hmm.
And so we take that very seriously here. We really try to watch the equipment that we have, make sure that it's very new, really handles all the things that we do
Mm-hmm.
well. We do training, of course, and we try to make sure that everyone knows what they're supposed to do because we also want to protect our workforce
Yeah, of
and we want
course.
everyone, yeah, we
Feel
want everyone
safe.
to be so,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. And so that's really important too.
I'm
So
sure
there's
there's a
so many
lot of
factors.
training. I'm sure you do a lot of training, things like that. Some of the things I've seen in some industries, they've moved to like some AI and some VR type of supported training and things like that. I'm curious how technology is impacting you, or are you looking into some technology solutions to push those initiatives forward? Like, what's next for Walters?
Yeah, no, I mean, so we have our own little virtual university here,
Okay.
which is probably unique for a small business like this. We're 120 people, so
Mm-hmm.
we're not, this huge business, but we started that about 2 years ago, and it keeps getting better.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
not what I want it to be yet, but it's a tool for training for people spread across a bigger geographic area because
Yeah.
we couldn't just do the training here anymore.
Right.
And so that was a big plus, I think, for me. I also like it because we do a lot with just communication skills and leadership skills and all
Yeah.
those things that just apply to life too. And I love that when sure they make you better here at work, but they make you better at home. They make you
Absolutely.
better in your family and with your loved ones. So I love that, and we do a lot of that there also. But as far as like AI, we haven't used a lot yet. There are some people here who are continue to look into it and see how we
Mm-hmm.
can use those advancements because yeah, that's really a lot of fun. I think really to do those things and find out how you can get better and how you can use these tools. And you want to stay out in front of it. And we
Absolutely.
have typically stayed out in front of those things in our industry. This industry is mom and pops and small family businesses, and so it's probably more of a lagging industry in those regards.
Mm-hmm. So you sort of have the really big ones or the really small ones, and you guys seem to be in the middle of that.
We're one of the few in the country that's kind of in the middle. Yeah, there's
Yeah,
there's these
sounds like
really
it.
big ones, like
Right.
maybe we'll say five-ish big ones, and then yeah, then just two and three people,
Mm-hmm.
the average for most of the businesses in this industry. And then there's
Wow.
us that's kind of this weird animal in between, and there aren't
Yeah.
again too many of us. So yeah, it's kind of a fun place to be though, because we can offer things that the big ones can,
Mm-hmm.
and we can also give the service levels that the littler companies do as well, and people would expect from smaller companies
Yeah,
as
it's
well.
really good to be in the middle. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a fun place to be.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. That's awesome. Scott, this has been an amazing conversation, and as we promised to each other, it went all kinds of places.
Yeah, yeah, right. It did.
From
That's what I love.
Tibet
Thank you.
to yeah, to where your daughters are. It's amazing. I took a couple things away that I'm sure our listeners did as well. I'll just summarize a few things that really stood out to me. One, just listening to your opening journey, that crooked line that you took to end at your bullseye here where you are at Walter Services, you were open to change that whole time, right? Oh, I'm going to do this. Oh, I'm going to do this. Oh, I'm going to do this. Each one of those was just a step preparing you for where you are. And I think so many times we find ourselves on our journey and we think, how is this place where I am now serving me? And I just love how hindsight, I guess, is 2020, but how can we in the moment embrace where we are and know that it's taking us to the next step? I love that mindset that you have. And I think if I knew you in each of those steps, you knew where you were and that it was taking you to the next step. I think that's something very special about you, Scott. I just love your we love people. It comes out in everything that you do and everything that you say. And it does not surprise me that you do not have trouble getting people to come and work for you. And so anybody that is struggling to hire people and retain people, this is where they need to come to learn how to do it right. Right. And they need to come and spend some time at Walter Services. So
Yeah.
loving people, maybe they just need to come and work for you, maybe loving people well and doing so imperfectly. I'm really going to spend some time on that on a personal level, because I think that has such implications for us as not only as leaders, of course, because we can be such perfectionists as leader. We got to where we are by being, so good and doing well. And then we want that around us. But as parents, that really, wow, that struck me, because I struggle with high standards as a parent. And that was such a great message that I'm sure a lot of working parents.
I always tell my girls, just a little aside, I always tell my
Yeah.
girls that I'm, of course, proud of them, but I always say I'm proud of who you are.
Yeah.
Not just because I don't want them to get wrapped up in
Of what
I'm
they
proud of
do.
what they've done. I'm
Right.
proud of who you
Who
are. And I
you
think that's
are.
the difference you're talking about, kind of.
Yes. Yeah, that's beautiful, of who you are. And I think that's part of loving the people you work with too. Like, you can make mistakes at work, but John MacArthur said you have to love those that you lead, right? And that can be really hard when they're racking up those mistakes, right?
Oh,
But
yeah.
there's a big difference when you love the person but can talk about the performance
Mhm.
separately from the performer. And that's a real key leadership separation. And I love that you have this university. So, just another leadership takeaway: you're educating your staff not only in their job, but to be better people. And everybody wins when that happens. So, just some beautiful takeaways. Scott, for our listeners, how can they find you? How can they find out more about Walters Services? Where can they go?
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Yeah, no, anyone can get a hold of me. WalterServicesInc.com. Very easy to find me. Just ask for me if you want to talk to me. Pretty simple. I'm on LinkedIn, Scott Walters. You'll find me there pretty easily
Great.
too. And yeah, now anybody wants to talk, I would love to talk anytime. I love to go to breakfast, lunches, and just connect and share stories, and you can help me learn. So anybody wants to, please reach out.
That sounds great. And we'll have those links in the show notes. And this was awesome. Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Now,
Talk
my
soon.
pleasure and my privilege. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Thank you for joining me today for another great hustle conversation with the Central PA executive. You can find out more about my guest in the show notes. And if you liked the episode or have something to add to our conversation, please find me on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen. Subscribe, rate, and review. Remember, leadership is best practiced in community. You know a leader who needs to hear something from this episode. So pay it forward and send it to them today. Don't wait. Until next time, the best leaders not only lead well, they live well and learn well. Bye now.